G'day all, and welcome to another Atomic Keyboards video. I really enjoyed the latest project around modifying the RK61, probably because I got what I felt were some terrific results from the mods that I put into it this time around. So without further ado, let's get into it. The Royal Kludge in 2021 still appears to be one of the best budget keyboards based on the coverage it gets from the community. I can see why this would be the case though. After some relatively straightforward modding, you've seen a snippet of the premium typing experience and acoustics uplift. The stock unit came with RK Browns, which I think are actually OTOMU-based switches. First experience with a tactile switch, which isn't really for me, I think. So we're going to get them off the PCB and keep them for some unlucky future keyboard project. One of my regrets with this project was that I found out a little bit later after I purchased my current version that there was a hot swap version actually available from AliExpress. So once again, I had to go through the pain of suction pump desoldering. The stock stabilizers seemed okay and came pre-lubed. I haven't shelled out for any aftermarket stabs before, and for what I was able to get out of the stock ones, as you'll see later, maybe people can let me know if there really is that big a difference, or is it all just kind of down to subjective experience. For the donor switches, I went with Gateron Butters, an incredibly smooth switch, which came pre-lubed from the bag, about 23 cents, US cents per switch. I did do a test lube comparison using Krytox 205G0 to see if it actually made any difference if I lubed them again, and there wasn't that big a difference, so I went with going with the pre-lube for all 60 switches. For the PE foam mod, I reused some packaging from an earlier keyboard. The thickness on this is about 0.5 millimeters. I came across this type of mod first with Near Lucid's video and was quite keen to see if I could replicate the acoustics here. The foam was thin enough that I could just push the switch plate into it to punch out the holes for the screw mounts. For the switch pins, I punched the large middle pinhole out with a Phillips head screwdriver, while the foam was sandwiched between the PCB and plate. The smaller pins can just be pushed through without an issue, it was thin enough. With the stabilizers, I performed the feet clipping mod. That is, using a pair of cutters to remove the two thin prongs on the bottom of the stem. This dampens the sound from the stabs against the PCB when a large key is depressed. The next mod is one of my favorites as it works so well, and that's the Holy Band-Aid mod. Basically, we cut a thin strip of cloth from a fabric Band-Aid. This is then placed on the hollowed area of the stem where the stabilizer bar would usually sit. The fabric acts as a dampener between the stabilizer and stem housing, which is where the source of noise and friction comes from. The width of this strip is the width of the recessed area. The stab stem and housing were lubed with Krytox 205G0. And the stabilizer bars were lubed with an even coat of dielectric grease. To round things out, I Band-Aid modded the mounting plate to further reduce any rattle that could occur between the switch plate and stabilizer clips. And here's a little cheap magic trick. For the last mod, I dropped in some packing foam into the bottom of the case to reduce its hollow sound profile. Nothing fancy here. I did cut a slightly larger piece out to stuff in and found that it created a gasket-like feeling because it ended up being sandwiched between the top of the screw mounts, as I didn't cut holes for them, and board supports which ran around the edges of the case. Now the sound test is coming up, but before that, if you made it this far through the video and you enjoyed it, please do leave a like and subscribe. Hope to see you all again in the next video.